Up next, I'm very pleased to introduce a conversation about one of the most pressing issues across our space, and indeed the whole digital frontier. We need to talk about how to future-proof the movement for decentralization. We've got a panel of legal experts. They are not your lawyers, so this is not legal advice for you, but you would do well to listen to what they say, because as I'm sure many of our friends here know, these battles, these conversations, the outcomes of legislative decisions or legal decisions, they affect all of us. So please buckle in for a great conversation. I'm very excited to welcome Ava Wong, Gustav Hemmelmayr, and Sean Ko. My friends, welcome to the stage.
Yeah, so I work in product development. I get to be part of the team that's building the cool things that Gavin talked about and Santi talked about and that we'll be talking about over the next few days. And it's a great time to be at Parity. I really appreciate being able to work toward this mission and work toward this vision. I really appreciate that we do care about the Web3 values. And I really appreciate that I have a great legal team that's knowledgeable and approachable that we can work through these issues with. So you guys want to do a quick intro?
Yeah, sure. I'm Eva Wong. Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, dear. It was fine before. Oh, here we go.
Más fuerte.
I'm Eva Wong. I'm the General Counsel at Parity Technologies, and it is not a surprise today that we have two lawyers on stage. I'll let Gustav introduce himself in a moment, and an engineering product lead because of exactly what Gav was talking about this morning. Products and legal are going to be working very closely together indeed to ensure that the vision that has been put forward can be achieved in a sustainable way from a legal perspective. I'll pass it over to you, Gustav.
Yes, hello. I hope you can hear me. Can you? Yes. I'm Gustav. I'm Senior Legal Counsel at Parity since February, and I'm also very happy to be here because I love Web3 products, and I think I've joined Parity just at the right time. And with that, probably we start with content. Yeah. So none of this is legal advice. We are lawyers. We're not your lawyers. We're thinking about stuff, and we are giving you ideas about what legal problems could be and how regulation and technology work with each other. But if you're building something, please make sure that you talk to a proper lawyer for your jurisdiction and really hash it out with them. So that was our disclaimer.
Awesome. Thank you. So I wanted to start with a kind of a two-part question, and this will be for both of you. You know, I sit and I listen to the speech that Gav gave this morning. It's a grand vision and a grand mission, and we're all super excited and super inspired, and we've got a team, a significantly sized team of brilliant engineers that are working 100 miles an hour to achieve this. So the first question I have is how? Like, how are you going to do this on a practical level? How does legal keep up with all of the changes in the market, in technology, in the space, with developments and regulations? And the second part of that question for both of you is, when you're listening to Gavin talk, what do you hear? What does that mean? What do you think that means for the role of legal at Parity?
I'm going to try and answer both of those at the same time. Let's go in reverse. So what does it mean for the role of legal in Parity? An incredible amount of excitement, because what we need to do to build this agentic society that Gav talks about is taking the philosophical steps backwards, but also looking at how the technology is going to be different and how we, as Web3 lawyers, we enjoy trying to find new ways of looking at existing laws in order to understand how the technology is going to fit in and whether those new laws need to change. So how we do that, we educate ourselves in, obviously, the law, but we also educate ourselves in the technology. Just today, Gustav was able to ask an engineer a question in order to solve a problem that we've been dealing with very much live. So being able to understand and being able to ask those questions is one of the key things.
And I might want to add to that, that what we've seen today, it's not entirely new because Gav has been talking about it for a while now, but what we have is a shift from parity building protocol technology that is much more hidden to experts that are building on it, and moving over to really thinking about products that are used by everyday people in an everyday context, which is a completely different environment, especially from a legal perspective. So we have something like consumers on the other hand. We have people who are not that tech savvy, but still are using a technology that is very much requesting them to own the knowledge to really handle the technology. And that's interesting because consumer laws are often protecting the dumbest user, and we are here working for the smart users and making them smart in using the technology and making them smart in reclaiming the space and the society with technology on a worldwide scale. So that's basically where we are.
I love that. Thank you. Eva, if we zoomed out a little bit for a moment, what do you see as the larger issues, larger legal issues facing Web3 and blockchain in general?
In general, as opposed to some of the more specific product things that we might think about, would be, I think there's a threat to encryption. I think that has become more so real in the UK and in the EU than maybe some of the other jurisdictions, largely because of the news stories that we've heard this year about EU chat control. There was a bill that was brought forward by Denmark and supported by, I think, over 19 countries that would mean that messaging platform providers would have to provide the technology to scan messages for photographs, for words, and disclose them to the government, which goes very fundamentally against Web3 values. And in the UK, they've actually been and taken that one step further in that it's not a bill. So in the EU, thankfully, that didn't pass, but it could still come back again as another bill. In the UK, those laws already exist under the Investigatory Powers Act. So this is, again, a similar motivation. It is to stop criminals from doing things in messaging. For example, selling drugs or pornographic images of children and other forms of criminality, which it is wrong, but not at the cost of privacy and potentially requiring encryption backdoors. So in the UK, the government has the ability to ask for a technical feasibility notice to Apple and other encrypted service providers to create a backdoor to that service, which would allow the government to access messages and data, user data, which is a really, really big thing. And in the UK, it got shelved for a little bit of time. A part of it, the problem is it's a secret technical feasibility notice. So there's not actually a lot of information that's available about it, except we did know that it was shelved for a period of time for global users, and then it came back in the form of it would cover UK users for Apple. So anyone with an Apple device in the UK, if this technical feasibility notice went forward, could potentially no longer have encrypted messages if the government was able to have back access through the back to Apple's data. So this isn't just about privacy as a concept and a threat to our Web3 values, but also the point is that encryption, if it is weakened in one jurisdiction for one service, it will affect all jurisdictions and all services, because that and encryption is what blockchain is built on. So this is a much larger problem than just Web3 versus Web2 privacy versus which messaging platforms might be more secure than others. This goes to the fundamental safety and resilience of decentralized networks. I'll pause there.
That was great, thank you. When I hear this, I really appreciate the breadth and depth of knowledge you have to bring from the legal perspective about the law, about the product, about the way that it's used in the marketplace, and about the technology itself. It's a significant ask, and I appreciate working with a team that has that expertise. So Gustav, same kind of question for you. What do you see as the biggest blockers to building a decentralized world?
Well, there's a lot of different kind of blockers, but from a legal perspective, which I can talk about, I think the main blocker is that most regulation comes from regulators who are still trying to wrap their head around what the internet is and how Web2 works and what a platform is and all these boring things that we don't like. But the regulation steps to that with a centralized approach. So they normally regulate that there is someone in charge or someone liable to the consumers using it, while we are building technology that's based on ownership in a decentralized way. So I'm owning my data, I'm owning my my transactions. Nobody's interfering with anything that I do in this Web3 space, and we see that there's a lot more different things coming up in this Web3 ownership decentralized approach. And somehow this doesn't fit. In the values, it does fit, because regulation tries to protect us against the big, gigantic Web2 platforms. And we are with Web3 actually building something that does the same, but the means is a different one. So the regulation tries to find someone and charge them for something, while we are trying to distribute and decentralize ownership, liability, and everything that we need for a digital interaction. And that just doesn't fit. So it is kind of difficult to find for Web3 how we apply regulation, but also our chances are pretty good because we're doing a privacy-preserving approach for everything that we do, which is significantly different than collecting data from everyone and using it for your own profit.
Thank you, thank you. I can tell you from a product development, product engineering perspective, a couple of things that keep me up at night are, can I convince people of the values that I have? Is the demo my team is going to give at this conference that we've practiced 10,000 times going to work? Eva, what are some of the things from the legal perspective that keep you up at night?
Many things. I think one of the reasons why we as lawyers enjoy working in this space is because there are so many things that keep you up at night, or you potentially need to figure out how to solve. So one of the things that keeps me up is a sort of a fear of innovation. I think where if we live in a world where developers are scared to build something because, and I have this experience of speaking to some of our devs where they're like, I don't know whether I could do this. Is this thing okay? Is that okay? And that's what we as lawyers are here to do. Is this thing going to be okay? Is it going to be legal in all the jurisdictions we plan for it to launch? And there's some really scary news stories out there. So Tornado Cash, one of the founders, is in prison for 5 years. It's on appeal. Many technicalities on that one. Money laundering, unlicensed money transmitting business. Alexei Pertsev, also Tornado Cash, 5 years in the Netherlands for facilitating anti-money laundering. And Samurai Wallet, last week, I think, they were sentenced for 5 years as well. similar kind of thing. And in the UK, there's also some queries around the liabilities that developers might have onwards for the protocols that they build, not the products that they build that might be used by people illicitly, illegally, but the code itself. Could they be liable for the code that they have built and the protocol, and if they have the ability to change a protocol? So there are lots of unanswered questions around this, and that is scary, and it will prevent some people from wanting to build. But there was also a flip side to this, in that regulation is trying to catch up, and two of those cases are in the US, and there is more acceptance or acknowledgement in the US in the regulatory space to actually think about how do we encourage innovation in blockchain without scaring the developers. So there's some developer protections that are being talked about in the market structure bills, which are happening right now. There's multiple market structure bills being discussed, and they all contain a clause of some degree which includes developer innovation protection, which is helpful. There's also some enforcement memos from the Department of Justice, which we thought might be helpful, but it has yet to be tested exactly how strong that protection might actually be.
Awesome, thank you. Gustav, in this brave new world, hopefully not the Adolf Huxley version, what role do you think, or how do you think that lawyers can, this will be a two-part question too, can protect builders, and what are some things builders can do that would help you in your role?
That's a very good question. I'm thinking it's super important that we just work together. So it's awesome that we know each other. In a lot of companies, that wouldn't happen. So it is important to upfront try to understand the technology, even if you're just a lawyer. Just like it's helpful that the tech team is also trying to rethink with us how the laws might work, and that we merge that together into a real product, so that the input or the constructs that we come up with might flow back to how we develop or how we launch or how we try to get in touch with people in a way that is also protecting not only the company but also us as builders. We see us as builders as well, in a way that we can say this is really safe to use for everyone, for the users, but also for those who are standing behind the product, because we want to have something good and reliable, not only on the technical side, but also on the legal side.
Awesome. I appreciate that, and I know we're out of time. I appreciate your time today. I appreciate your time every day. And the role that you guys play, I think, is really indispensable in how we achieve the vision that we have. I appreciate having you as partners. I think having knowledgeable and approachable legal team is critical for us in product engineering, so I greatly appreciate that. In closing, if you guys don't know already, they host this every 2 weeks, this event. The Koos actually hosts it. It happens every 2 weeks. They talk about the kinds of things that we talked about today. They also occasionally have a special guest, and they'll sometimes talk about developments in the regulatory space. So if you haven't seen this is a good use of your time. Check it out on the socials here, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you.